Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I have the honor of having Mr. Stace in the house. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I love that wall behind you, but if I were that way, I would just bleed into the wall with this orange white face. So, but guys, before we get started, I want to thank dreamchasers.com for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you so much. So we've talked briefly on LinkedIn, but not really. This is a long time coming, this interview. So I'm going to get to know you like my listeners are. So if you want to tell your story and start from there, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Absolutely. So I am a real estate investor, and I'm also the owner of a branding agency. And I've been doing the two things for about as long as I've done the other. So about 20, almost 25 years. And at this point in my life, I'm looking to do more real estate. So I'm always trying to figure out a way, how do I bring more real estate stuff into my branding work, or how do I bring branding work into my real estate stuff? So that's where I am right now. I have several properties that I own. I'm trying to get involved in some syndications. So any syndicators out there with a deal that's
actually, funny enough, I have one right now. So there you go.
Wow. Okay. Well, cool.
There you go. Yeah.
Success. Yeah. So, all right. Cool. So I'd love to talk about that. But I know your listeners are younger people who might be getting started, or people who are trying to grow a business. And so I think this conversation can be great. We can talk about how to build a brand, how to build a trustworthy brand. That's what we do at my agency. We focus on helping people find the elements in their persona that lend themselves to helping to build their trust. You can't ask people to trust you. You got to demonstrate it.
Well, what's interesting is I had a conversation last night with some friends of mine who are in the syndication LP space in apartments. And I told them that just who they are as people, right? Like I literally, like, he's an engineer, she's something, I know them, they're friends of mine, becoming better friends. I would literally give them $100,000 and not even look at the deal. Like, because that's how much I believe in them. And I think that's the conversation that me and you are about to have, because I am the sales guy and the owner for my construction company and head of marketing. And people are not doing business with me. Yes, they're doing business because my product is great, but they're also doing business because they just like doing business with me. Like, my mentor talks about all the time. The one thing that nobody talks about is likability is an amazing factor that can get you in rooms that you probably shouldn't be in the first place.
That's the foot in the door. Absolutely. And yeah. I would agree with that. It's interesting that you say that you would loan money or invest money with these people that without asking for other details. And that's really important, because that's what we'd want ultimately, that level of trust from anybody that we do business with. But something that I run into with folks in real estate is when we're talking about branding, I say, the truth is, it's like I pretend like it's a secret. Like, you don't actually need a brand as long as you only want to have your family and your friends be your investors. If you want to go outside of that, you need a trustworthy brand. So That's what we talk about. But that's exactly what you're describing, is like the people that we know and like in life, we'll do anything for them because they've proven themselves, and we've got track record with them, and we know how they're going to behave in different situations. I bet you have friends who you'd invest with, and then there are other friends you're like, I'll hang out with you. I probably would have, because you just know. Sometimes, like, I mean, the people have different personalities, but that's what it's about.
100%. So long story short, and I can't wait to see how this lands with you. So I had an Airbnb company. I've been doing Airbnb management for investors forever across the country. And long story short, lost some money in a previous company, wanted to walk away from those owners and start my own. And when we started our own, we had a mission that we only wanted to work with investors that understood the game and didn't bother us, like, because we know what we're doing, and it's a weird business on its head anyway. And so we actually didn't want to name the company. Like, we didn't want to name it because it has no marketing, it has no social media, it has nothing, because it's referral only. And so, funny enough, my wife at the time, who's now my ex-wife, said, you got to name it something. And so I named it Unbranded. Unbranded Rentals. And it's funny enough, it actually sticks. Like, people like it. And so, yes, I didn't brand it per se, but technically I did brand it.
You did. I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The idea that you work off of rentals is very
Referrals.
interesting. Referrals. I knew somebody years ago, seems like another life ago, that he had a large landscape design company, and there's no branding on the trucks. None of his employees had it, because his thing was like, I'm only going to work for the people who tell their friends about me. I mean, it's that personality. I mean, he could pull that off. Not everybody can do that. You had a great idea with Unbranded. That seems like a good way to go. But
I worked for a private equity firm. We ran the numbers on the 30 million that we lended out, and we found out that 70% of our business was from referrals, because you're 60% in the door already. Like, and when I get my coaching clients from somebody that's recommending me, like, all I have to do is not be an idiot, because they're already liking and trusting me. And so when you're starting out to create a brand, and you're looking to, because let's be honest, and I said this on the previous podcast, you're a brand whether you want to be or not. You as a human walking around on this earth with social media and so on is a brand now. What are you telling, somebody that's looking to start a company or as an entrepreneur? What are the aspects of building a trustworthy brand that you suggest to your clients that you've learned over your years?
Yeah, the first thing I recommend to everybody is like you said, you are a brand whether you want to be or not, and you have to sort of decide whether you're going to have a personal brand or a professional brand. And so, if you're going to have a personal brand, everything is going to fall out of who you are and the things that you believe in, the values that matter to you. If you're going to have a professional brand, you're going to need to take some of that stuff that's inside of you, the things that matter, and apply it to this entity that's going to have to live on its own. Those values are going to have to come from somewhere. You can't make them up. They're going to have to come from either you or a co-founder or some belief that you have. And if you're inventing it, it's going to be very difficult to make it credible long term. Like, that authenticity has to come through. So whether it's personal or professional, there's going to be some element of you in it. It's just a matter of whether it's like, when people think of the brand, they think of it as, oh, this is unbranded. That's the brand. Or they're thinking, Tony Robbins, like, he's the brand, right? I mean, like, so there's a person involved with that. And even though there's a company, his values filter through that. So when we understand that our values are going to matter, we have to figure out what they are. And we don't always know what they are. We live our lives a certain way. And like, if you sit down and say, well, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? It's not necessarily something you exercise you've done in the past. So that's what we do with branding clients. We go through that process to understand who they are. We put it down on paper. We define those things, because ultimately their company's going to grow, and they have to hand that worksheet or that guide to somebody else or other employees and say, this is how we behave. This is the vision that I see. So first step is always discovering what you stand for and codifying it, like writing it down, defining it, making it so that you can repeat it and say, okay, in this situation, how do I act? In that situation, how do I act? Like, so we all want to be trustworthy, obviously, but I might be empathetic. That might be one of the values that I have, or I might be proactive. That might be a value I have. So how does proactiveness filter through different things that happen, whether it's building or real estate or, landscaping or whatever it might be? So discover who you are, define who you are, and then the next step would be to go out and articulate to the world who you are, what you stand for. And you could do that by creating a brand, working with a branding agency. When you do visual identity, coming up with logos, coming up with a verbal identity, how you speak, what your website looks like, what your website does, the types of products or services you offer, they all filter down from your brand. But first you have to determine, what do we stand for? What do we believe in? And what do we want to accomplish in the world?
Yeah, and it's weird because I've been spending the last like 2, 3 months with marketers, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of like a snake, like that, the cobra snake that's like wants to bite because like I don't like being asked these questions because I'm a doer, like I'm a doer, right? And my brand is like I just go out and push through
Yeah.
shit. But what I realize is we have a
That's
saying
like
here.
that's like your mug says.
Yeah,
Nobody cares. Work hard.
we have a saying here in Texas. That's great on scale to get started, but it's kind of like pissing in the wind, like if you're like perfect example. I built a course out. You might doesn't matter, but I was a drug addict and homeless, and I was an alcoholic for 20 years. So I built out a course trying to get people started, right? Like how to change your life around, change your environment, stuff like that. And that's great. And I'm very excited that I put that out. There's a ton of value in there. But ultimately, I had no idea who my end consumer was. And so it took me a year to find out that that product doesn't suit my typical audience that listens to my podcast. So that's why it hasn't sold. And so now it's turned into more of like, now I just give it away to the people that I help that are in the recovery space. And so that's great. And so they're getting value from it. So I could care less. But if I would have, like, we're building out a course for my other podcast for coaching people. If I would have, let's say, sampled the audience and then asked them exactly what they want or asked me the tough questions, then you save a lot of, I don't know. I'm sure you see this with entrepreneurs and real estate investors. They're asking and making up stories of what people want instead of just going out and seeking, hey, what do you want? And I'm going to go do that,
Well, so ultimately, your brand exists at the intersection between like the thing you believe in and the thing you can do well and what people need you to do. I mean, so like if like we think of Apple's always the example that we use as a good brand, but like if Steve Jobs had this vision and nobody cared and it didn't matter to anybody and nobody had the problem that he wanted to solve, it wouldn't have made the splash that it did. Or you think about Henry Ford. So Henry Ford knew the problem. He said people in this expanding country need better transportation. But if he had asked them, there's a famous quote. He said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said they wanted a faster horse. What they really needed, the solution was better transportation. And he was like, I've got an idea. I can make this happen. So understanding the need, not necessarily, people don't always know how to articulate the need that they have. They might understand the problem, but like solving it, you may need to figure out the solution for them. And that's how entrepreneurs come up with like amazing ideas. It's like, why didn't anybody think of this before? Like you've probably said that and you've heard people say that. That's because an entrepreneur, an inventor, somebody had an idea, they saw a problem and they figured out how to solve it in a different way that was either completely unique or, it just really got to the heart of what the issue was. And that is something that all entrepreneurs, whether you're creating a product or offering a service, you have to figure out what's the problem and how can I solve it? Not necessarily, hey, Joe or John or whoever, like, what are you dealing with? You need to like see something. Of course, you can talking to people is fantastic, but like understanding how to get people from A to B is the strength.
I love that. And so what do you think, if you just had to like say one or two things, what do you think is the biggest kind of mistake that people make when they're branding or they're not using an agency, or like, what do you think is the biggest issue?
Obviously the biggest issue is not hiring a professional like me. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, what a salesman. I love it.
so the thing that I see is that people tend not to give it the thought that it deserves. And so I'm working with a small company that's expanding here, and they have a number of franchise locations, and they've expanded so quickly they never gave the thought of brand and any of the value that they should have. And so they've gotten to the point now where they have like 10 or 12 stores up and down the East Coast, and they don't have anything written down. What they have is a founder who has a great idea and is very passionate about it, and he's like communicating to other people in drips and drabs, and there's nothing on paper. There are no guidelines, anything like that. So he has a massive problem trying to get all these stores to have some sense of coherence. Like, there are no brand standards. There wasn't even a brand platform developed.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to have a big business like that to say, wait a second, let's put the brakes on and say, how do we make this thing repeatable? The first thing is, like I said, you have to understand what you do and like what you're great at and like what your values are, and commit those things to paper. Even if, like, you don't need a branding agency to do that. You just need to think about it and say, what are the things we believe in and what are the values we're going to uphold as we go about doing our work? That's like the biggest thing, is like people just don't take the time to think about those branding elements, because they're going to influence everything that you do, who you hire, who you work with, where, like, locations for your stores or your business, where I'm going to buy real estate, for instance, the type of product or service I might offer. Like, everybody's like, okay, so I want to start a business, so let me go to the bank, I'm going to write up a business plan. Like, I wish I could talk to banks and say, you know what, you need to tell people, come in with a brand plan as well, because that's the thing that's going to help bring customers to you. When people will interact and have an emotional connection with you, that's what creates long-term loyalty. So awareness is one thing. We want to generate that, and obviously, like, somebody has to have an idea of what a business could be and how the numbers are going to work. Incredibly important, but they have to understand how they're going to intersect with the people who need this service. So that's the thing that I would say is, like, think about brand, even if you're not going to go through a formal brand process, but just think about, like, what do we stand for? What are the values that I want to guide this business?
Hey, it's so true, because one of my favorite quotes ever that I've like hung on to so hard is that you either position yourself or you will be positioned. And so it's like, at the end of the day, like, people know me as like a honest, no judgment, very excitable, energetic guy who's jovial, right? And everything. What they don't understand is that, yes, I might do 9 podcasts in a day, but I'm also super quiet too. Like, and so when they meet me in person, they're like, oh, we think you're going to be like running through the thing like Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm just sitting back, and like, I can get excited too. And so but here's the kicker, is that what we're all seeking in that whole scenario that you're saying is just to be yourself. And like, whatever that is, you're going to attract and repel the customers and the people that should be around you, right? Correct?
Yeah. And if we're talking about, that's absolutely true. And if we're talking about, like, meeting people in person, face to face, which hasn't happened a lot in the past year, if we have to do these things digitally, if we have to do like meetups digitally, or if we have to try and like send out emails, we're going to have to find a way to bring ourselves, that personality that you're talking about, we're going to have to find a way to translate that into either a website or emails or a video if we're going to do it, or a podcast in your case, or a course. You're going to have to find ways, because, like, if we're shaking hands with somebody and talking to people get a very good sense of who you are and what you're about. We read people very quickly, right? That's if we're in person. Even like this, we're getting a good sense of each other. It would be better in person. But if I never had a chance to meet you or talk to you face to face, like, we've never talked to Henry Ford and we understand what Ford is all about, or Apple, or any other company, Nike or something like that. So you have to find a way to understand who you are and what you're all about, and find a way to, like, make people aware of that. Like, it has to come through in your communication or your style or your visual identity, or the types of the properties that you're going to invest in. Like, the type of investor you are is going to be indicated through the investments that you're part of, or that you're trying to get people to be part of. Like, if you don't believe that storage as a category is a good place, that's independent of the conversation. But if you don't believe that, you're not going to get involved in it. You're not going to tell your friends or your friends' parents to invest in that, because it's not something you believe in. You don't have that value in that category.
It's almost like you set me up for it. So I'm interested to hear about your journey in real estate investing. And then I'm very interested to say what you said in the beginning of the podcast, how you're looking to get into it more. So I'd be curious to hear how you got into it and kind of where that started for you.
Yeah. So my mom owned a restaurant in the 90s, and the hours are awful. Anybody who owns a restaurant, works in a restaurant. Yeah.
20 years.
Okay.
20 years. Yeah.
So it's tough. And so she had some health issues, and she's like, I can't do this forever. So she's like, I've heard about, like, I think there's this guy like Carlton Sheets or something, some guy who sold like things on TV late at night, like courses on how to buy real estate. And so she got involved in that. And so she started buying some single family homes. And she said to me and my brother, you guys got to do this. This is going to like be great for you. We were really young at the time. And she encouraged me and my brother to each of us buy a single family home. And I was still living at home at the time. I was just out of college. And so I bought this house, and I saw that the system worked. I'm like, oh, wow. So the mortgage is like, let's say $500 a month, and I'm making $700 a month in rent. I'm like, hey, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I started slowly like that. And then I bought a couple more properties. And then I took a lot of time off from actually buying real estate and worked on my career. But over the course of 20 years, my brother and I, picked up a small portfolio of homes together. And recently, like 3 years ago, I said, you know what? I would like to have a lot more time. The same things that a lot of people say when they're having thoughts about real estate. I said, but the single family homes just are not scalable for me. I want something bigger. And at the time, I didn't understand this concept called syndication. But then the agency that I was working for at the time, before I started my own agency, we had Realty Mogul as a client. And Realty Mogul is a large syndication platform out of Los Angeles. And I was introduced to this concept. I'm like, wait a second, you can buy apartment buildings? Like, people buy this? Like, they're investors? I'm like, so I was like blown away. So I said, that's what I need to do. I need to go out and buy a massive apartment building. And then I realized I can't do that unless I'm part of a syndication. But I was still interested in being hands-on. So I bought a small apartment building here outside of Boston where I can be hands-on, because I like people. I like understanding how people think. And that's why I'm in the advertising branding space, because I like understanding, how people make decisions and all that. So I'm doing that, and that's going fine. It's like probably one of the best investments I've ever made. But now this year, I want to start investing in syndication. So I've invested in one syndication. I'm looking for others to invest in. I think I want to do it passively, but I think I'd also like to get involved myself and say, like, how can I take the lessons that I've learned here at this building, and also all the branding experience I have. How do I help apply that to like a 200, 300, 500 unit building and make it help build something there? So I won't have to work as hard with the branding agency. Oh, he's got an idea.
I know, I got a couple things, but is Realty Mogul the one that's raised like $1 billion crowdfunding? Is that them? The number one platform? I saw a company at Best Conference Ever, and I can't remember. It might have been her. Is she run by a woman?
Yeah, Jillian Hellman.
She's a freaking machine. She's amazing. That's amazing that you had that. Yeah, they are the number one crowdsourcing syndication platform in the country.
Who rebranded them? That's the question.
You did it? Yeah. Oh my God, we're gonna have to talk. So listen, I had an idea, right?
Yeah.
So this is perfect. First of all, you met the guy that knows every syndicator in the country. So that's me. Just so happens that my buddy called me yesterday, and he's like, we need to start raising money for a $16 million portfolio they just bought. So, but what I see you doing is putting in your money, and then you saying, I want to learn too. And then I'm also going to give you a top-down branding overhaul for your company. And so they're giving you the multifamily knowledge so you can go out and syndicate your own, and then you're giving them what you bring to the table. And that's what to me is so amazing about multifamily, because it really is a team sport. And, that's what I see as a huge avenue, because what people don't understand is everybody has value, and maybe me, I'm the linker of people, and then everybody's shining together, creating this amazing machine where we get everybody what they need. But because this is what I've learned from talking to plenty of people, and especially people that do it at a high level and $1 billion equity funds and everything. When we're younger, we think everything has to do with money. And when you understand that everybody's motivation has nothing to do with money, a lot of the times it might be for they want to learn, they want this, they want to say they invest in this many, they want to help, they want to use their skills.
Right.
Because a lot of times, especially younger people don't ask older people that are farther along, like, oh, he would never help me. And I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea that and I'm talking about myself. My number one thing is to give kids knowledge to learn about entrepreneurship and money. Like when I came home for Christmas, I bought all my best friends' kids Rich Dad Poor Dad for Kids. Like I'm like, throw all your other books away. Like, and so you don't know that that's my thing. So when I meet somebody like you, or I meet somebody and I figure out their kids in entrepreneurship school, oh, we're getting on a Zoom call. And I want to talk to them, right? Because I want to tell them there's another way, because I got left behind because I was super smart and I didn't care about college. But that was what everybody was forcing me to do. And I dropped out 3 times, and it's like, it took me, I'm now 38. It took me till 38 to figure out my crap, not that I haven't enjoyed my life, but that's why one of my favorite quotes by Jim Rome ever is he says, you know what the 1% do that everybody else doesn't do? They ask. They ask for what they want. And until you ask the universe for what they want, and so you're coming on here and you're saying, hey, Austin, I'd like to invest in more syndications and learn. Well, funny enough, I have people, and wait for it. Are you ready for this? I'm really going to blow your mind out of your body. He asked me 1 week ago, hey, I would love to meet somebody that could teach me how to elevate my brand. I just remembered that.
This is amazing. This is the universe, like, making connections. I mean, you're also making the connection, but this is very cool. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's what I love about, like, the universe presents to you what's necessary, when's needed. And so to back up that the deal that you bought, just to give everybody the best tactical advice, how big was the property that you bought, the multifamily?
So it's 6 units, not a huge building. I would say it's the greatest group of tenants I've ever had. I mean, so everybody other than 1 unit has lived there between 10 and 20 years. People pay their rent on time. They're just like good people. So there are very few of the headaches that are associated with rentals. Like, so the properties that we have, so that's outside of Boston, the properties that we have in Connecticut, like even it's a smaller number of people, more headaches with those than this group of people. It's just like it's like a Rubik's Cube. It's like the right combination of people living there. So, but it's been hugely profitable. I understood that it was, when I looked at it, I was like, it's a great neighborhood. It's walkable to the downtown area. The rents were way below market because people had been living there forever, but the previous landlord hadn't touched anything. I'm like, if I can make some decent improvements, not go overboard, I can raise rents here. And I've raised rents consistently, and everybody's been happy. And I've got a method for raising rents that I if you'd like, I can share with your
that'd be great.
Your listeners.
I'm sure they would love it. Yeah.
So, I want to be completely transparent and open in all the things I do. And so when I'm working with either my employees or my clients, that's what I try to do. I said, how can I do that with tenants? And I said, you know what? I need to raise the rent. And I'm going to tell them why. I'm going to explain, like, well, so taxes went up and this insurance went up. But beyond that, I want to show them that my rents are in line or not much more than rents in the area. So I do a rentometer study for that unit, or excuse me, for that neighborhood. And I give that to every tenant. And I also give them listings of comps in the area. I go to apartments.com or Craigslist, wherever I can find like something that lines up. And I show them, I'm like, hey, I would love for you to stay, but if you can't, here's some other places. And, you'll see that, so they can make this comparison. I don't have to go and like, it's not like I have to like tell them, oh, it's great here, trust me. I don't have to tell them that. I can just say, hey, if you want to stay, awesome. If you don't, here's some other places. And nobody's left. And last time I did this, one guy said, he looked at the rent increase and he was like, oh, that's not that bad. And I'm like, that's what you want to hear. Like, I don't want to hear, somebody complaining or, we're in business, right? So, I mean, it's not like I can just like not do a rent increase because I feel bad about that. No, I absolutely have to stick to my plan. But if I can make the guy feel happy and know that I have both of our interests in heart, That's important, and that's actually one of the four things that I'm all over the place all the time. So there are four pillars to building trust, and what I just mentioned, like alignment of interest, is the fourth one. But that might be another conversation for another day.
We're gonna hit that one because I wanna finish that, because the previous podcast I did before this, she said something very important because she's a CEO of a big company. It's very true, because I'm guilty of this. We, a lot of times as people, we want to communicate what we need, but we don't communicate why we need it. Mm-hmm. And so what you've done is you've done a little extra work. You've created an avenue where you've communicated properly with your tenants and they respect you for it. So here's the number one rule I'll relate to life in general. And the best advice I ever heard about Airbnbs, a property or your company. The number one issue in Airbnb is hiding your negatives. If you hide your negatives, the number one thing that people fucking hate is to be surprised. And so when you just communicate properly and explain why you're doing something, I found that people are very adept to handle that, opposed to trying to. The number one thing people don't like to do is feel like they're getting taken advantage of. And by you trying to hide something from them and not explaining why, you're going to set yourself up for failure.
Right. Absolutely. That's good advice. So explaining your motivations and your intention is like that the woman that you spoke to, that is critical in forming trustable relationships, like mutually trusting relationships. Because a lot of times, like the way I'm behaving in a situation, I might understand my intentions. So I'm judging myself on my intentions, but I don't ask myself, hey, what is that guy's intention? I'm just basing my judgment on his behavior, just what I see. I don't ask, and he's not telling me what his intention is. He might be trying to help me, and it looks like he's trying to, he might be trying to, like in a store, like trying to help me reach a product. I'm thinking he's like trying to steal my wallet, because I don't understand his motivations. So like this is something, a practice I've been trying to use, like when I'm talking with my wife. Now I'm like trying, like when I'm like, this is what I'm trying to do, just so she understands like what I'm doing, because like relationships can be complicated. trying to get everybody to understand, but like getting people to know your motivations and like why you're doing something is huge.
I love that. And so we'll highlight, what are the four pillars to getting somebody to trust you?
Yeah. So our agency is called Trust Deep. And so the name refers to this metaphor I have. Like, I think there are three kinds of relationships we all have in life. There are people who know you, there are people who like you, and there are people who trust you. And knowing you happens in your head, liking you happens in the heart, but trusting happens one level deeper in the gut. So like we try to form relationships that are trust deep. And that's how we got the name of our agency. Trust to us has four pillars, and you have to try and work on building these things or adding more of these things in everything you do, whether it's your communication, interpersonal skills, your branding, your marketing, your behavior in businesses. The first one is credibility. And so credibility is you knowing the thing you're talking about. So if you and I were to meet at a real estate meetup, and like 30 seconds into it, like you can understand if I knew what I was talking about. Like we're talking about a deal, and let's say I'm trying to impress you and I'm making stuff up, you're going to know that. I don't have credibility. I call credibility the first impression tool. So like you can build trust instantly. Like sometimes we think trust takes a long time to develop. Certain parts of it do, some parts don't. So credibility comes from knowing what you're talking about and like having a good understanding of that. You also need to walk the talk. So your actions and your values have to be lined up. People will spot those things. That's credibility. The second one is track record. So track record is the only element of trust that takes a long time to develop. It doesn't really affect like what's happening in the present. Like people will look at your reputation or things you've done in the past, hoping that same performance happens in the future. So that's track record. And that happens like, so we can express track record through like, sometimes you see like a business, it's like since 1956. So like, okay, so they've been in business a while. They've got track record. Or I talk to you and you know something about somebody who I'm working. So I might ask you, hey, what do you know about the syndicator? And you're like, I did 3 deals with him last year and he was upfront about everything and things worked out and I'm getting some track record. Or online reviews is another way for people to get to see your track record. like where you went to school. Like, okay, he went to school, or he was in the Marines or something like that. And you're like, okay, he's got track record. He's accomplished things in life. That's the second one. The third one is empathy. So empathy is our ability to be human and relate to people. And nothing builds empathy nothing builds trust faster than empathy. So I don't necessarily have to agree with everybody I talk to. What I have to do though is listen and find out where they're coming from. And once I do that, we will be much closer. Even if we don't want to do a deal together, even if we're like disagreeing on different sides of the political spectrum or whatever it is, like I'm arguing with my neighbor about his dog or whatever it is. If I listen to somebody, if I just shut up and listen, I will gain empathy because I'm validating them as a person and I'm validating their point of view. We need that as people. We need to see that somebody else has an interest in what we're talking about. They don't necessarily need to do the thing for us or support it. They have to just like understand that we're valid and that we have the right to have this opinion, and the easiest way to build empathy is just to shut up and listen, like listen to people. And the fourth thing is alignment of interests. And alignment of interest is you and I having like the same intention and motivation for a project and wanting to get there the same way. So you and I might be looking at a deal and you're like, oh, we're going to get a 20% return on investment on this thing. And I'm like, great, that's what I want. I want 20%. And then you're like, so we're going to follow all the rules of business and go about this legally. That's how we're going to get there. And I might say, you know what? I don't necessarily need to follow all the rules. Why don't we skirt some of the rules? We might make even more. So even though you and I have the same intention, we want to get the 20%, we might not have the same path there. So we do not have an alignment of interests. Alignment of interest is the thing that helps you bond with other people. So when I'm dealing with my clients in branding, it's like, this is the thing that's going to get people to be like super loyal to you. They're going to see meaning in your brand beyond a product or service when they see that you have something, some belief in mind. This is why you'll see people from completely different walks of life who might have like the same sports team in common. They can bond and they will trust each other. Or people in a certain religion, they have a common set of beliefs and they have meaning together. So even if the struggle is difficult or something bad happens, they can still persevere because they have shared meaning. And that is like massive. That's like why we'll forgive like brands that we like, like I like Subaru, right? But like my Subaru is not perfect, but I have a shared belief with Subaru because I love being outdoors, and Subaru, it's like they love being outdoors and they care about national parks and I care about national parks. We have that in common. So even if the car turns out to be a piece of crap, which it is, and it's things are working well, I have belief in the same things that the brand does. And so we've got this like shared meaning. It's like all those four elements will fluctuate in proportion, whether you're buying a car or talking to a friend or getting married or investing $100K in something, different things, right? Different levels. But you need to increase those proportionally to the situation. That's how you begin to build, or that's how you become trustworthy.
I love it. I love it. And so if people want to find out more about your company or how they can follow your journey, how would they do that?
So people can go to our website. It's trustdeepagency.com, one long word, Trust Deep Agency. And you can get in touch with me there. Like if somebody had a question about branding for their business, just hit me up. I'm on LinkedIn too, Stace Caseria. Either way, I'm always happy to talk about branding and real estate.
I love it. Guys, if you like this episode, make sure you send it out to your friends, and we appreciate y'all listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.